Someone keeps texting me, hide and seek? I wish I hadn't ignored it. I received the first message 3 days ago. I was on my break at work, and I got a text notification. It was odd, it was from an unknown number. Normally, I ignored those sorts of messages. Spammers and the like usually showed up with those types of auto texts. But this one was different. It was so strange because no number showed up at all. Just the message, hide and seek? I thought someone might have the wrong number for a friend they were trying to get in touch with to play a game apparently, so I responded, think you have the wrong number, not sure who you are trying to reach, but they are not here. I went about the rest of my workday and was just wrapping things up. When I pulled my phone from my bag, I saw I had another text waiting for me. Same number, or lack of number. It was just another blank line where a number should display and the message, hide and seek? I was confused and slightly annoyed, so I responded again, like I said before, I think you have the wrong number. Who is this? Who are you trying to get a hold of to play hide and seek? I waited, staring at the screen for a minute, and I was about to put it away when I saw a response. You hide and seek? My patience had reached its limit, and I figured if they would not answer, then I would just block the non-existent number and hope it would work. Despite the lack of a visible number, the option on the message thread still presented itself, so I was relieved when the weird conversation vanished. I got in my car and started to drive home. I got another notification as I got on the road and used my car's text-to-speech to read it to me. It was Mike, my roommate. He was asking me to pick up more beer from the store, since he had apparently finished off what we had left. I groaned at the message and the fact that I was always the one to buy it for us. It was getting old, but I needed a drink after the night I had. So I sent him a message back saying, I can this time, but if you are going to keep drinking everything we have, then you better start paying for it. I stopped by a nearby gas station close to our apartment and grabbed a case of Miller and continued home. As soon as I got back in the car, I received another text. I was getting annoyed already since I figured it was Mike complaining about being out of something else. But instead, as the text-to-speech read out the message, I knew it was something else. Seek? Drink? It made sense now, and I immediately called Mike. He answered after several rings and sounded stoned. Hey man, what's up? Did you grab the beer? Yeah, I did. Are you messing with me? How are you sending those messages? When I call you, I can see your number, but not when you sent that weird text. What kind of app are you using? Also, what is the point? I am not home yet. I can't play hide and seek. Never mind that I'm not 5 years old. The seek drink thing was a bit of a giveaway for whatever weird game you were playing. There was a brief pause, and he responded, Not sure what you mean, man. I didn't send anything like that. Weird. Who wants to play hide and seek? Anyway, get home, man. My buzz is fading. He hung up on me, and I was even more confused. If he had not sent the message, who did? I drove home, feeling a little on edge. When I got back inside, Mike greeted me at the door. Of course, by greeted, I mean he took the case of beer and walked to the fridge, removed 2 and sat back down on the couch. Nice to see you too, I mumbled under my breath. I wanted to ask again about the weird message, but I just shrugged and grabbed a drink for myself and lumbered to my room. I was tired, so I decided to call it an early night. When I stepped into my room, my phone buzzed, and I saw another text from no number. Almost. Time. Hide. Or seek? I was getting creeped out at that point. I did not know how the messages kept getting through after blocking it. I decided to respond again. Stop messaging me. I do not know who this is, and I do not want to play. Leave me alone. I hit send and tried blocking it again. This time I turned my phone off for good measure. I tried to settle down and just go to sleep. I managed to nod off for a bit, but after a while I heard a knock at my door. I jolted up and heard the slurring voice of Mike. Hey man, I don't know what the hell, but I think someone is trying to get a hold of you. I just got a trippy message, and it sounded like what you were talking about earlier. Check it out. I rushed to the door and saw Mike looking at his phone in a confused stupor. I grabbed it from him and looked at the message. Last chance? Hide. Or seek. My heart sank and I felt a wave of panic rising in my chest. I asked Mike, when did you get this? He shrugged his shoulders. A while ago, man. I don't remember exactly. I was not looking at my phone. What's going on? I stepped back into my room and turned my own phone back on. Sure, enough I had a missed message. Okay. You hide. I stared at the words in mounting fear. I had no idea what to do, but I felt suddenly exposed. I considered calling the police, but I did not know what I would tell them. Nothing had happened, only a creepy text thread. Yet something felt wrong, like something bad was about to happen. I looked over at Mike, and he looked confused and a bit paranoid as well. Before I could try and explain things, the lights went out. At first, I thought it might be a power outage. Then I heard the slow creaking sound of the front door opening, despite being sure I had locked it when I got home. Terror gripped me, and I knew something was very wrong. I crouched down in the dark and whispered to Mike the only thing I could think to say, "Hide!" I crawled on my floor and under my bed. I was about to call 911 when my phone suddenly died as well. It was on one moment and then just lost power, despite having over half a charge left. I put the useless device in my pocket and tried to see if there was anything I could use as a light source. I froze and thought better about moving when I heard a strange shuffling sound. Then, heavy footsteps, much heavier than Mike's. I noticed the temperature in the room had dropped suddenly and it felt like it was freezing. As the footsteps resounded and moved closer, I smelled a fetid tinge in the air as well, like something rotten. I crawled as far back and huddled up, as small as I could make myself under the bed, and held my breath. I heard my closet door gently shutting and thought it might be Mike hiding in there. Then the heavy footsteps picked up the pace. I suddenly realized if I could hear the door closing, whatever the hell was in here with us could hear it too. I considered calling out to Mike to move, but fear froze my voice. The heavy footsteps were in the room now. Despite my efforts to try and see what stalked us, I could not make anything out. I sat there silent and immobile, holding my breath and waiting. After several long moments, I thought we might be safe. Then I heard the door to the closet break and shatter. Then Mike screamed, a haunting and nightmare-inducing shriek. Something had found him. The cry of terror was suddenly silenced. I did not hear anything violent, just the scream and then utter silence. I had no idea what the hell had just happened. For a long while, I sat there paralyzed with fear, until finally the light came back on. When I summoned the courage to creep out from under the bed and see what had happened, I was shocked when laying on the ground was the shattered remains of my closet door. Despite the ruin of the door, there were no traces of anyone or anything else. Mike had vanished. I slowly called out, louder and more emboldened, as I moved into the hall where the light was on again. No one responded. No one else was there. I stumbled through the apartment, searching for my roommate, but he was gone. Worse still, I had no idea just where the hell he had gone. No trace of Mike has shown up in the last couple days since it happened. I don't know if anything will. I think he can finally be declared missing, but I don't know if it will do any good. It was impossible, but whatever had broken into our place had found him, and now he was missing. He had lost hide and seek, and that thing, whatever it was, took him away. The entire nightmare is unbelievable, yet even now, as I write about my friend's impossible disappearance, I am shocked when I receive another text, "Hide and seek?" I don't know what to do. I don't know what this is. Maybe I should respond again, a different way this time. Maybe it might help, might keep me safe from whatever or whoever is doing this. Perhaps I can find out. My reply is one word: seek. As I hit send, a chill ran down my spine. I felt a strange mix of dread and curiosity. What would happen next? I waited, staring at my phone, half expecting it to explode with some ominous message. But nothing came. The silence was almost worse than the anticipation. I decided to distract myself by cleaning up the mess in my room. The shattered closet door lay in pieces on the floor, a stark reminder of the night's terrifying events. As I picked up the splintered wood, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every creak of the floorboards seemed amplified. Every shadow seemed to shift ominously. After tidying up, I sat on my bed, trying to make sense of everything. My mind raced with questions. Who was sending these messages? What had taken Mike? And why was I being targeted? I felt a deep sense of unease, as if I was teetering on the edge of some dark abyss. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. I hesitated before picking it up, my heart pounding in my chest. The message was from the unknown sender once more, but this time it was different. "Seek, and you shall find." The words were cryptic, yet they ignited a spark of determination within me. Maybe this was a clue, a way to uncover the truth behind the mysterious messages and Mike's disappearance. I decided to take action. I began by researching online, looking for any similar incidents or urban legends that might explain what was happening. I stumbled upon forums discussing paranormal phenomena and stories of people receiving strange messages from unknown sources. Some claimed it was a prank, others believed it was something more sinister. One story caught my attention, a tale of a ghostly figure known as the Seeker, who would challenge individuals to a deadly game of hide and seek. According to the legend, those who failed to hide well enough would be taken to another realm, never to be seen again. It sounded absurd, but given my recent experiences, I couldn't dismiss it entirely. Determined to find answers, I decided to visit a local library the next day to dig deeper into local folklore and any historical records that might shed light on the Seeker legend. As night fell, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I would find out what happened to Mike, and I would put an end to this nightmare. Before going to bed, I double-checked all the locks in the apartment and set up a makeshift barricade in front of my bedroom door. I knew it might not stop whatever was out there, but it gave me a small sense of security. As I lay in bed, I couldn't help but wonder if I had made the right choice by responding with seek. Would it lead me to the truth? Or had I just invited more danger into my life? Only time would tell. With a heavy heart and a mind full of questions, I finally drifted off to a restless sleep, hoping that tomorrow would bring some much-needed clarity. The next morning, I awoke to the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly. I reached for it with a groggy hand, expecting another cryptic message. Instead, it was a flood of notifications from friends and family, all concerned about Mike's sudden disappearance. I realized I had to be careful about what I shared. The truth was too bizarre to explain. After a quick breakfast, I headed to the library, my mind set on uncovering the mystery. The library was a quiet sanctuary, its shelves lined with books that promised knowledge and answers. I approached the librarian, an elderly woman with kind eyes, and asked if there were any records or books on local legends or unexplained phenomena. She led me to a dusty section at the back of the library, filled with old tomes and forgotten stories. As I browsed through the shelves, I found a book titled Mysteries of the Unknown, Local Legends and Lore. It seemed promising, so I took it to a nearby table and began to read. The book was filled with tales of haunted places, ghostly apparitions, and strange occurrences. One chapter, in particular, caught my eye. The Seeker's Game. It described a malevolent entity that thrived on fear, challenging its victims to a game of hide and seek. Those who failed to hide well enough were never seen again. The description matched the events of the past few days eerily well. As I delved deeper into the chapter, I found a passage that mentioned a way to confront the Seeker. According to the legend, the Seeker could be summoned and challenged by those brave enough to face it. The key was to find a specific location, a place where the boundary between worlds was thin. There, one could confront the Seeker and, if victorious, reclaim what was lost. The idea of confronting the Seeker was terrifying, but I knew I had to try. Mike's fate depended on it. The book mentioned an old abandoned house on the outskirts of town, rumored to be a hotspot for supernatural activity. It seemed like the perfect place to start. With a plan forming in my mind, I left the library and headed home to prepare. I packed a small bag with essentials, a flashlight, my phone, a notebook, and a few snacks. I also grabbed a small pocket knife, more for comfort than anything else. As I packed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, as if unseen eyes were following my every move. As evening approached, I set out for the abandoned house. The journey was uneventful, but as I neared my destination, the air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped the area. The house loomed ahead, its silhouette stark against the darkening sky. It was a dilapidated structure, its windows shattered and its walls covered in ivy. It looked like the perfect setting for a horror movie. I hesitated at the entrance, my heart pounding in my chest. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior was just as decrepit as the exterior, with broken furniture and debris scattered across the floor. The air was thick with dust, and the only sound was the creaking of the floorboards beneath my feet. I explored the house cautiously, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. As I moved from room to room, I felt a growing sense of unease, as if the house itself was alive and watching me. I found nothing of interest until I reached the basement. The basement door was ajar, and a faint light flickered from within. I descended the stairs slowly, my heart racing with each step. The basement was a large, open space with strange symbols etched into the walls. In the center of the room stood a circle of candles, their flames dancing in the dim light. I approached the circle cautiously, my instincts screaming at me to turn back. but I knew this was my chance to confront the Seeker and save Mike. I stepped into the circle, feeling a strange energy pulse through the air. With a deep breath, I called out, "I accept your challenge, Seeker. Show yourself." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the room grew colder, and the shadows seemed to shift and coalesce into a figure. The Seeker stood before me, a dark, indistinct shape with glowing eyes that pierced the darkness. "You dare to challenge me?" it hissed, its voice echoing in the stillness. I swallowed my fear and nodded. "I do. I want my friend back." The Seeker laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Very well. The game begins." Suddenly, the room spun, and I found myself in a dark forest, the trees looming ominously around me. The Seeker's voice echoed through the air. "Hide or seek your doom." I had no time to waste. I sprinted through the forest, my heart pounding in my chest. The trees seemed to close in around me, their branches clawing at my clothes. I stumbled over roots and rocks, desperate to find a place to hide. Finally, I found a small cave, its entrance hidden by thick underbrush. I crawled inside, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The darkness was suffocating, but I knew it was my only chance. I waited in silence, my senses on high alert. The forest was eerily quiet, as if holding its breath. Then, I heard it. The sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, drawing closer. I held my breath, praying that the Seeker wouldn't find me. The footsteps stopped just outside the cave, and I could feel the Seeker's presence, its malevolent gaze searching for me. Time seemed to stretch on endlessly, each second an eternity. Finally, the footsteps retreated, and I dared to breathe again. I had survived the first round, but I knew the game was far from over. As I emerged from the cave, the forest shifted around me, and I found myself back in the basement. The Seeker stood before me, its eyes glowing with a cold, calculating light. "You have survived this round," it said, its voice dripping with disdain. "But the game is not yet over." I nodded, my resolve hardening. I would face whatever challenges lay ahead, for Mike's sake and my own. The Seeker's game was far from over, but I was determined to win. Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes. Do not forget to watch other videos.